My name is Marcus and I'm 34 years old. 3 years ago, I weighed 720 pounds. I know that number sounds impossible to some of you, but it was my reality. I was trapped in my own body, a prisoner of my own making. I didn't wake up one day weighing 720 pounds. It was a slow descent into hell that started when I was just a kid. Food was my comfort, my friend, my escape from a world that felt too harsh, too judgmental. By the time I was 12, I was already 200 pounds. By 18, I hit 350. By 25, I crossed 500 pounds. And by 31, I reached that devastating peak of 720 pounds. Let me tell you what it's like to weigh 720 pounds. I hadn't left my apartment in over 2 years, not once. I had groceries delivered, ordered everything online, and lived my entire existence within 4 walls. My bed was reinforced with steel beams because I had broken 3 regular beds. I slept sitting up because lying down made it impossible to breathe. The physical pain was constant. My knees screamed with every step. My back felt like it was being crushed by an invisible weight. I had diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, and my heart was working overtime just to keep me alive. Taking a shower required an hour of preparation and left me exhausted for the rest of the day. But the emotional pain was even worse. I hadn't looked at myself in a mirror in 5 years. I avoided any reflective surface like it would burn me. When delivery drivers came to my door, I could see the shock in their eyes, quickly followed by disgust or pity. I stopped answering the door altogether and just had them leave everything outside. I was completely alone. My family had given up on me years earlier, after countless broken promises to change. My few remaining friends stopped calling when I canceled plans one too many times. I worked remotely as a data analyst, which was the only reason I could survive financially. But even simple tasks like typing for hours became painful as my fingers swelled and my circulation got worse. I ate to numb the pain, but the eating created more pain, which made me eat more. It was a vicious cycle I couldn't break. I would order enough food for 6 people and eat it all in one sitting, then hate myself so much that I'd order more food to forget the shame. Fast food, pizza, entire cakes, bags of chips. Nothing was off limits. The worst part was the voice in my head telling me I deserved this, that I was weak, disgusting, hopeless. That voice became so loud it drowned out everything else. December 15th, 2021. I remember the exact date because it was the day I almost died, and it changed everything. I had been feeling chest pains for weeks, but I kept ignoring them. That morning, the pain became so intense I couldn't breathe. I crawled to my phone and called 911, gasping that I thought I was having a heart attack. When the paramedics arrived, they couldn't get me out of my apartment. The doorway was too narrow and I was too heavy for their stretcher. They had to call the fire department to remove my door frame and use a specialized bariatric transport team. It took 7 people and 2 hours to get me to the hospital. At the ER, Dr. Sarah Martinez looked me straight in the eye and said something that shattered me. "Marcus, if you don't change your life right now, you have maybe 6 months to live. Your heart is failing. Your organs are shutting down. This is it." Then she said something that gave me a tiny spark of hope. "But if you're willing to fight, and I mean really fight, we can help you. It won't be easy. It will be the hardest thing you've ever done, but you can have your life back." That night, alone in that hospital bed, I cried for the first time in years. I cried for the life I'd wasted, for the person I used to be, for all the years I'd lost. But somewhere in those tears, I found something I hadn't felt in a long time: the desire to live. The next morning, I made a decision that terrified me. I was going to fight. Dr. Martinez connected me with a bariatric surgeon, Dr. James Wilson, and a team of specialists. After extensive testing, they determined I was a candidate for gastric bypass surgery, but only after I lost at least 100 pounds on my own to make the surgery safer. Those first weeks were pure hell. Going from eating 8,000, 10,000 calories a day to 1,200 calories felt like torture. My body was in withdrawal. I had headaches, shakes, mood swings, and cravings so intense I would lie on my kitchen floor crying. My nutritionist, Jennifer, visited me 3 times a week. She taught me what real hunger felt like versus emotional eating. She helped me understand that food had become my drug, and like any addiction, recovery would be painful. The physical therapy started in my apartment. Mike, my therapist, was this incredibly patient man who never showed pity, only determination. Our first session, I could barely stand for 30 seconds. We celebrated that 30 seconds like I had run a marathon. Slowly, painfully, I began to move more. Standing for 1 minute became 2, then 5. Walking to my mailbox became the highlight of my week. I started tracking every calorie, every step, every small victory. Month 1, lost 28 pounds. I could stand for 10 minutes without collapsing. Month 2, lost another 31 pounds. I walked outside my apartment building for the first time in over 2 years. I cried standing on that sidewalk. Month 3, down 67 pounds total. I could shower standing up. This sounds so simple, but it felt like winning the lottery. But it wasn't linear. There were terrible days where I would binge and gain back 5 to 10 pounds. I remember one night eating an entire pizza and 2 bags of cookies, then calling Jennifer sobbing, convinced I was a failure. She reminded me that relapse is part of recovery, not the end of it. The hunger was the worst part, not physical hunger. My stomach had shrunk and I was eating regularly. It was the emotional hunger, the craving for the comfort that food used to give me. I had to learn new ways to cope with stress, loneliness, anger, and sadness. I started keeping a journal. Writing became my new outlet. I wrote about my fears, my victories, my setbacks. I wrote letters to my younger self, forgiving that scared, hurt kid who turned to food for comfort. Month 6. I had lost 120 pounds and was cleared for surgery. The day of my gastric bypass, I weighed 600 pounds. Even with all my progress, I was still morbidly obese, but for the first time in years I had hope. The surgery went perfectly. Dr. Wilson said my heart was stronger than he expected, thanks to the weight I had already lost. Recovery was difficult, but I was used to difficult by then. The weight started coming off faster after surgery. My new stomach could only hold about 2 ounces of food, so I had to eat tiny amounts throughout the day. I had to relearn everything about eating, chewing slowly, stopping when full, choosing protein first. Month 9, post-decision, 200 pounds lost total. I bought my first piece of clothing in a regular store in over 15 years. It was just a plain black t-shirt, size 3XL, but I stood in that dressing room and sobbed with joy. Month 12, 280 pounds lost. I started working out at a gym. The first time I walked into that gym, I was terrified everyone would stare. Some did, but most people were focused on their own journeys. I met other people fighting their own battles, and slowly I started making friends. I reconnected with my sister, who I hadn't spoken to in 3 years. She cried when she saw me. "I have my brother back," she whispered. Month 18, 350 pounds lost. I weighed 370 pounds, still overweight, but mobile, healthy, alive. I started dating for the first time in over a decade. I was terrified, but I had learned that growth happens outside your comfort zone. Today I weigh 240 pounds. I've lost 480 pounds total. When I tell people this, they can barely believe it. Sometimes I can barely believe it myself. Let me tell you what's different now. I wake up every morning and walk 3 miles before work. Walking used to be impossible. Now it's my meditation, my therapy, my joy. I work in an office now. I take the stairs instead of the elevator, not because I have to, but because I can. I have lunch with coworkers. I'm part of the world again. I can buy clothes at any store. I can fit in airplane seats, movie theater chairs, restaurant booths. These might sound like small things, but when you've been denied them for years, they feel miraculous. I'm in a relationship with an amazing woman named Lisa, who loves me for who I am now, not despite my past, but including it. She says my journey makes her love me more because she knows how strong I am. My health numbers are perfect. No diabetes, normal blood pressure, no sleep apnea. My doctor says I have the cardiovascular health of someone 20 years younger. But the biggest change is in my mind. I like who I see in the mirror now. Not just because I'm thinner, but because I know what I'm capable of. I know I can face impossible challenges and overcome them. People ask me if I'm worried about gaining the weight back. The honest answer is yes, sometimes. This isn't a diet that ends. It's a complete lifestyle change that requires daily commitment. I still see my therapist monthly. I still track my food. I still have days where I want to eat my feelings instead of dealing with them. The difference is now I have tools and support systems in place. I've learned that maintaining this weight loss is like maintaining sobriety. It's a daily choice. Some days that choice is easy, some days it's hard. But I make it every single day because I remember what the alternative looks like. I also give back now. I volunteer at the hospital where Dr. Martinez works, talking to patients who are where I was 3 years ago. I share my story because I know how hopeless it feels, and I want them to know that change is possible. If you're watching this video and you're struggling with your weight, whether it's 50 pounds or 500 pounds, I want you to know something. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not hopeless. I know it feels impossible. I know the voice in your head is telling you that you've tried before and failed, so why try again? I know you feel like you're drowning and no one understands. But here's what I learned. The biggest prison is the one we build in our own minds. For years, I told myself I was too far gone, too damaged, too weak to change. Those were lies. The truth is, you have more strength than you know. The person who got you through everything that led to this moment, that person is strong enough to get you through recovery too. You don't have to lose 480 pounds like I did. You just have to take the first step, then the second, then the third. One day, one choice, one moment at a time. Find your Dr. Martinez, someone who will tell you the truth with compassion. Find your Jennifer and your Mike, people who will support you without judgment. And most importantly, find your December 15th, that moment when you decide you're worth fighting for. I won't lie to you, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. There will be days you want to quit. There will be setbacks and disappointments and moments when you feel like you're back at square one. But there will also be mornings when you wake up and realize you can breathe easier. There will be moments when you catch your reflection and smile instead of looking away. There will be relationships restored, adventures possible, dreams reborn. Your life is waiting for you on the other side of this challenge. You are worth that life. You deserve that life. You are strong enough to claim it. The Marcus who weighed 720 pounds would never have believed he could become the man I am today. But we're the same person. The only difference is that I finally decided I was worth saving. You are worth saving too. Your journey starts with a single decision. I am worth fighting for. Make that decision today. Your future self is counting on it. And remember, if a man who couldn't leave his apartment for 2 years can lose 480 pounds and reclaim his life, then whatever mountain you're facing can be moved too. You've got this. I believe in you. Now it's time to believe in yourself. If this story resonated with you, please know that help is available. Reach out to medical professionals, join support groups, and remember that asking for help is not weakness. It's the first step toward strength. Your story isn't over. This could be the beginning of your greatest chapter.